Okay, this looks like the end of an experiment, but it's actually the beginning of an experiment because I wanted to work out what the flip-flap happened between all of the Cochineal x Loquat chicanery that happened. It came out super weird. So I took what I had left of the test fabrics and dyed them in Loquat when I was doing a t-shirt. And I have to say, I am not impressed by the fancy aluminum acetate or alum acetate, whatever it was, not at least with its production with Loquat. The Loquat doesn't like that. And also, it's true, some cottons, these fancy like Kona cottons that are meant for quilting, are just so processed and such a fine and tight weave that they're just not going to take the dye. So if you're going to use cotton, use like the crummiest, roughest muslin you can. So up here we have, this is on silk, so that's why it took better. The natural fibers seem to take any of them better. So we have alum. This is oak gall onto a rougher muslin, which is why it got a nicer color. This is oak gall tanned silk, also darker. And then this is the alum triformate, big fat nothing there. I mean, not nothing, it's a beautiful, soft, peachy tan, but I want Loquat anyway. And then this one is the aluminum acetate, and not impressed. But anyway, I'm going to take pieces of these, and I'm also going to take more pieces of the regular fabrics, and we're going to dye some cochineal because I'm going to be making a cochineal dye blanket anyway. So we're going to use up some cochineal and dye some of this with the Loquat, and then also dye some straight cochineal. Then we'll put the cochineal back into another dye vat and do that. But a couple steps between then. So here is the straight Loquat onto natural and cellular, or like protein and cellulose fibers, and we're going to see if we can recreate the Loquat x cochineal experiment, but a little more controlled, where we're not adding tin to the dye bath, etc., and see if it's a mordant issue or if it is a tin issue, or if they just don't want to combine and stop doing that to the poor fabric. So we will try to work that out. I will see you in the next portion of this experiment. Okay, we have a fresh cochineal bath that still scares me, and no matter how many times I wipe my hands, I manage to get droplets of red stuff on things. So fair warning, word to the wise, just do this outside or paper your entire house. Anyway, I'm going to put in all of our different mordanted silks. I tried to make this very sterile this time. It's in an inert pot. I did the Loquat in an inert pot, so hopefully this dye experiment will go well. And then with the exhausted bath, I will use it for dye blankets. Okay, now cochineal is not a heat-sensitive dye, so it is okay to boil it. We don't necessarily want to boil our silk, however. So we are just going to turn it down and give it an hour. Wow, that silk really loves the cochineal. Why do we use cotton in this world? What a horrible fabric to process. Just make everything out of silk, guys. It's so much easier if you just shave a whole sheep and then, you know, kill a bunch of bugs in a variety of ways, and then you can have beautiful clothing that doesn't kill the environment except for the bugs. A stasis can be reached is all I'm saying. All right, and then when these have been in for a bit, I will take them out and rinse them, and then we will have half of the cochineal dye experiment, because then we can put them now into the Loquat dye that I saved in an inert container so that it wouldn't react either. But anyway, you can certainly see the different interactions of mordants, because it's a flip-flap and pink rainbow in there. We are going to learn some stuff, and I actually remembered to write down what the fabrics are, so good data. Okay, see you in an hour. Well, it's only been 26 minutes, and I don't see how that could get any darker. Some of the cottons are being recalcitrant, just like they were before. Rude. Anyway, I will probably give these another 15 minutes, but I want to be able to tell the Loquat ones apart. And at this point, I'm not sure that I will be able to because they took so much color. But looking good. And then we will make some dye blankets and use up this dye bath. Okay, we have the last of our Loquat dye bath and a pile of Cochineal to overdye it. So that experiment will be done. So I'll see you in an hour. Okay, and here is our Cochineal that has now been layer dyed with Loquat. And shocking, it looks no different. It might be a little different. We'll wash it. But the Cochineal seems to be very dominant. So I can only imagine what happened last time. The tin definitely affected it because these look very different than that. So tin, a major contributor to whether or not the Loquat would even pick up the dye. And maybe I just had like a very exhausted dye bath. I don't know. Wonders never cease. One of my patrons, Sarah P, has been like extremely helpful and at my side at guessing as to like why these things are happening to my fabric. And so maybe she will also have a guess. Okay. I think I got everybody. All right. It's somewhat different. Oh, I'm gonna have such a hard time telling those apart. I'm gonna have to go mark the hangers with a piece of tape. That's a smart thing to do. Mark it with tape. Okay. See you when all that's washed up. Okay, well here's our Loquat x Cochineal experiment, and a lot of things happened here. Keep in mind that this is the first color that we got out of the Cochineal. Now, or the Loquat. Now, this Loquat was done onto linen. It was done onto cottons. It was apparently also done at about 40 times the strength. I don't remember using that much more leaf matter. The leaves might have been slightly fresher. That's possible. I used leaves that were more dried out, so they had less pigment left in them. This was definitely a drier set of leaves, so that is potentially an issue. This is the straight Loquat. All of these are just alum. All of these are just oak gall. All of these are alum triformate, and all of these are alum acetate because they're all cottons. So on the silks, it picked it up nicely. We knew that the Loquat would darken, would sadden with the oak gall tannins. Why oak gall tannin made the Cochineal just not get picked up in this case and get picked up totally in this case, I don't know. But anyway, so straight Loquat, straight Cochineal. This one is Cochineal over Loquat, or Loquat over Cochineal, and this one is Cochineal over Loquat. So the Loquat had some effect on the Cochineal, mostly just saddening it a little bit. The aluminum acetate worked really well on the fancy cotton to get it to pick up the Cochineal. Did not help it pick up the Loquat at all. So Loquat, very mordant specific. Apparently also this one, it hates alum triformate. The Cochineal does. It thinks it's awful. As you can see, it just, no thanks. No thanks for any of that. The Loquat over Cochineal turned a really kind of pretty, I don't want to say it's the color of a tongue, but it's kind of the color of a tongue. Anyway, depending on what your tongue's colored like. It reminds me of a tongue, but if you think of a better color. Brick? It's not bricky. It's too light for that. Anyway, the alum triformate, universally not great on the cotton fibers. The alum acetate, not great on those fibers either. Not bad on the mixed ones. But in general, what a weird interaction. It seems the Cochineal does not like oak gall tannins. The Loquat does not like to not be at a very high concentration, and it prefers linen. And also I need to get the leaves before they're as dry as they were, because they do not impart the same delicious orange as the other time. I was hoping for this. I got this. Anyway, What a thrilling experiment. I hope you'll come along for another one. Thank you to my patrons. If you're interested in helping support me make more videos like this or view my experiments, please check me out on Patreon. The link is in the description. That is my primary source of income as a partially disabled artist. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next experiment. Bye!